All right, awesome. Let me take this down. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. My name is Alyssa. I am an emerging talent recruiter here at HubSpot. I am currently recruiting for the legal intern role that is currently open. If you were not aware, you can go onto our HubSpot careers website and definitely apply if you're interested after this event. But today we're going to be talking about the life of a legal intern panel. And we thought this would be a great event for you all so that you can learn more about what our legal team does here. And because there is multiple teams under the legal umbrella, we thought it would be perfect to put a panel together so that you guys can have the conversations with them and ask the questions that you may have. Before we get started with the panel, however, I would love to tell you all a little bit about HubSpot, just in case you aren't very familiar with us. So what is HubSpot's mission? HubSpot's mission is to help millions of organizations grow and grow better. So how do we do that? We do that by providing top quality CRM platform services, which we like to consider each of these different areas hubs. So we have a marketing hub, a sales hub, a service hub, CRM, operations hub. So we have pretty much everything that you need if you own a business so that you can run it successfully. Now you may be wondering what it's like working at HubSpot, and I may be biased, but I absolutely love working at HubSpot, and I think a lot of the other HubSpotters will be able to vouch for this as well. But one of the biggest things that I really enjoy about HubSpot is the culture. And here at HubSpot, we believe in creating a culture in an environment we love. Now you may be wondering, how do we do that? So we've created a company culture that embodies these 5 different things: autonomy, trust, transparency, empathy, diversity, and belonging. And there are also many additional things as well, but these are some of the top things that we really have focused on. And these are some of the things that we really look for also in talent when we are recruiting for opportunities here at HubSpot. Now, also, we really look at people that exude heart. And what heart stands for is humble, empathetic, adaptable, remarkable, and transparent. We also look for people that use good judgment as well. And one big thing that really attracted me to HubSpot was our culture code. If you're not familiar with our culture code, definitely look that up. We can also throw the link in the chat for you all. And it really goes into detail. It's like over 100-page slideshow about why this is so important to us and our values and mission here at HubSpot. So if that is not enough to get you, very interested, we do like to highlight some of the great things that we've done. And this comes from us having a great culture and having an amazing team. So being able to be blessed and fortunate to be recognized by companies like Comparably, Great Place to Work, Glassdoor, People Magazine, it's just a testament to what we do here at HubSpot, how much we value each other, we value our clients, and just seeing everyone succeed, no matter if you're a customer or if you're an employee. If you are a current law student or you're about to graduate, of course, I encourage you to check out our opportunities on our website, hubspot.com/career/students. Of course, like I stated earlier, we do have our legal intern opportunities still open now. So if you are interested, definitely apply. I encourage you to. Now, let's get into the fun stuff. We are going to bring up our legal intern panel. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, stop being a cheerleader for HubSpot for like 2 seconds. No. So let me go off of here and bring up our panel. All right, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of popcorn first, and then you can shift it to each person on the panel that's next, if that's okay. First, I'm gonna start with Kenzie. You can introduce yourself and let everybody know what team you're helping within the legal umbrella.
So hi everyone, I'm Kinsey Hassan Ali. I am Assistant Corporate Counsel on the Privacy, Security, and Risk legal team. I've been at HubSpot for a little over a year, and the first 5 months I was actually a postgraduate law clerk. And so I will pass it to Anna.
Thanks, Kinsey. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm also assistant counsel I'm on the commercial team. And I actually started as legal intern in the summer of 2019, and pretty much never left. I after law school transitioned to a law clerk similar to Kinsey, and then when the full-time position of assistant counsel opened up, I joined full-time. So yeah, I'll popcorn to Caitlin.
Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin. I am currently a legal intern. I go to Pepperdine Caruso School of Law in Malibu, California, and I am primarily with the PSR team, the Privacy, Security, and Risk, but I have helped out other teams as an intern. And I'll shoot it on over to Gia.
It's kind of confusing. My first name is Huirong. I put my last name first, yeah. Hi everyone, I'm the only working professional. I'm a former legal intern from 2020 to 2021 at HubSpot. So basically I work from 12 summer till I graduate. I wish I could stay, but yeah, but right now I end up an associate at Silly Austin in San Francisco. I mainly help out the PSR team and the commercial team.
Love that. Thank you guys so much for introducing yourselves. What I love about this panel is it's so diverse, different teams, different law schools, working at different places, former legal interns, current legal interns. We have a law clerk. So I think that this is going to be really beneficial for you all joining. So the first question that I want to go ahead and ask my panel is, how does your department directly support HubSpot? And Caitlin, I'm going to popcorn it to you.
Cool. Okay. So I would say as a legal intern on the PSR team primarily, my work supports, I like to call kind of everyday popcorn questions. I think especially with privacy, it's so new. Sometimes we'll get a question like, hey, with COVID going around and vaccinations, what's some things that we should keep in mind, or what are some laws that maybe we need to look into, things like that. And then it'll get sent to me. And at first, as an intern, I think a lot of my assignments were, hey Caitlin, look into this, do some research. And then as I think some trust developed, it transitioned to do some research, and then can you give us a recommendation? What are your thoughts? And that I think is really important and special to me, because it's not just kind of academic work, right? It's more than that. It's how can I do some research and then develop an analysis and then give that to my superiors to then take that to the rest of the HubSpot company. Yeah.
I love that. Would anybody else like to respond to that?
I can expand on that a little for the privacy, security, and risk legal team. It's definitely an interesting team because our team actually supports every other sub-legal team. So there's like the corporate team, which does like board meetings, venture capital stuff. We have the employment team, we have the commercial team, we have the product attorneys, we have operations teams. So like we really have to provide support for each of those. So we're working with the commercial attorneys, product attorney. We also collaborate with security, compliance. Sometimes we're working directly with the business stakeholders, so the engineers and finance, depending on like what the task is. So on top of that, the kind of what PSR does is, as you can imagine, a lot of different things because we have so many different stakeholders. So we might be providing support on a product feature or providing support on procurement, really anything that touches personal data, we are involved. So that's a little bit about PSR.
Definitely a lot of collaboration, it sounds like, and that is definitely one big thing at HubSpot as well that we really do very often, if not on a daily basis, honestly. It's a lot of collaboration with other teams. So thank you so much. That was awesome, Kinsey. It kind of goes right into my next question for the panel, which are some common tasks that you work on as a legal intern on a regular basis. I would love to hear from Anna.
Sure. I'll just give a quick background on the commercial team I'm on now, we support the customer lifecycle and the vendor lifecycle. So like the sales teams, the services teams, we like that half of the commercial team supports like all transactions, basically having to do with the customer, purchasing HubSpot, negotiating our terms of service, customer disputes, anything like that. And then I specifically work on the vendor life cycle, which is when we're the ones purchasing from third parties. So negotiating those contracts. And my team also works as sort of the middleman with Kinsey's team a lot and our security teams to really vet any vendors that HubSpot might want to use or integrate with our product or anything like that. So and now I'm on the commercial team. When I interned in 2019, it was a bit different. It was before the pandemic. So I was actually in person, and the legal team was more like 20 people. And I think we're like almost up to 60 now. So we've grown like crazy, but yeah, I would help with like different playbooks, researching for different like clause libraries or like enablement resources. Like we're really big on using a wiki, which is like a knowledge base, just helping and giving the team sort of information and research to help build out those resources for both the team and for like the business stakeholders to be able to support themselves. So yeah.
Very nice. I would love to hear from Harang.
Yeah,
What-
I can build. Oh, go on. Sorry, Lisa. I can build up on each other's answer. I feel like Kinsey and Anna, I agree with you totally. So when I work at HubSpot, I don't feel like I'm siloed in any one team because we're a business. Like we work synergetically, and you know, even on a balance sheet, we're put on the legal expense as the liability side. But I think the legal team is very much also the growth center for the company as a business as well. And also only by putting us thinking this way, I think we can better help the team. That's my general impression about all the legals I've worked with at HubSpot. They are as much as a legal as well as a businessman or women, sorry. So for instance, when I work on a PSR team, I would think my job is more like building up the defense wall of that business, like how we use the data, of how we store the data out of all the software we use, how can we better protect our clients, also protect ourselves. When I work at a commercial team, I would think about how can we grow the business by increasing revenues. So we can do it by incorporating new contracts, or we can do one-on-one negotiation side letters. So there's always like different levels you can pull in on one deal. So and as Anna said, like our team is 45 people right now. So every people think multidimensionally. That's what I really love about just the legal team as a whole, that you don't feel like you're legal now, which is very, very much required right now, I think, in the tech industry in general. I mean, as a legal counsel of the tech industry in general. Tapping on your Lisa's question on what kind of task I got assigned. So basically, if on the PSR team, I will do, as Kaylin said, there's compliance questions about what does law mean to us. And there's also, I remember I helped draft a privacy policy, assigned by Zara actually. Yeah, I hope that's going well. So you would take, as a legal intern, you take a lot of responsibilities and like actually forming the foundation of our company. And it's public facing as well. You can see your privacy policy is published on the website, and you can tell your friends, see, I drafted this. You know, people working other teams, working other like companies might not have this chance or have this visibility. And also for my work on commercial team, basically, because the question we ask ourselves, commercial team, how can we increase the revenue? So basically, I'm trying to, my job was to draft certain sections in the contract to create our flexibility in increasing the money we get from the client. Also, another interesting task I got from the commercial team is ticket analysis, but I think, I don't know whether still the legals are doing it or we have data scientists doing it, but it's super interesting. This test, basically clients will submit different tickets to our customer representative. They will ask our customer specialists a lot of questions. So I help gather all the tickets in a month and try to understand, so what are the questions they ask us? Basically, do they care about the new laws passing EU, or do they care about renewal of the contracts, or do they care about, is our system secure enough? So it's really interesting to really understand what our clients care about. And also it's interesting for us, like for legals, our clients is both the company and also HubSpot's clients. So it's interesting to see that both we need to satisfy their business needs and also the legal needs our team. Sorry, it's a long answer, but I can't help it. It's such a wonderful experience.
No, I absolutely love that, Harong. Thank you so much for the detail. And I'm sure everybody really appreciates that. It really shows that in this role, you are given a lot of great responsibility, a lot of opportunity to do new things and helpful things for the team, so you feel very much valuable, in making an impact. So thank you so much for answering that. My next question, because I'm sure a lot of people are curious, how did you prepare for your interview with HubSpot? Interviews, they can be very nerve-wracking and stressful. So I would love to hear whoever would like to go first, what you did to successfully prepare for your interview.
I'll go first. My number one thing was, so I had never heard of HubSpot, actually. So I looked through the website, every single page, trying to understand, okay, what's a CRM mean? Right? Like, I didn't know what that meant. Like, what are they selling? How does that work? Things like that. I think I even tried to create like a demo free account just to like see if I could mess around and like, understand. And then I also just looked up different articles about HubSpot. So not HubSpot content, but maybe like a New York Times, Washington Post, things like that, Glassdoor articles, just to get a sense of what the culture was. Is it going to be super, suit and tie interview, or is it more, casual? Do they want to see that casual side? I think things like that. I was really trying to understand what's the culture like and how can I show that, that I fit in and that I know the product. That was really important.
Yeah, I can go next. In addition to everything Caitlin said, although I did not make a demo portal, so it didn't go quite as far, but what I did do is I reached out to someone on LinkedIn who was working on the legal team, just to kind of get insight into the day-to-day, the culture, like what type of work and assignments could be expected of an intern. And then I really tailored, and this was like even before I even applied. So I really tailored like my cover letter and like my interview to like have, so it had all that insight, and was like very specific to HubSpot and the type of work that would be expected of me. And you definitely don't have to have like prior legal experience, but it helps you hone like skills that you can transfer into the role. So like, we all have different backgrounds, lots of different experience. We've done so many things and you can't really talk about everything you've done. You really need to just like focus on the things that are going to apply to this position, whether or not it's a legal job that you've had in the past, but really like, what is that skill that you can transfer to this legal, internship or a law clerk position. And it's a lot easier to hone in on that when you've actually spoken to someone who actually works on the legal team. So that's kind of the strategy that I took.
Yeah, I can build off very similar to Kinsey too. I actually met up with Danielle, who's one of my bosses now, to get coffee before I ever applied to the internship. I knew about it. I leaned on my mom's in the corporate world, and she's not on legal, but she has legal colleagues, and I also met up with them. So like not necessarily at HubSpot, but just to understand in-house roles in general, and to see like what my past experience. So I went to Brown University and have a finance undergrad degree, and then I also went to Suffolk. For those who are at Suffolk, I went to Suffolk Law, but I actually did FISIP my first 1L year, which is like working for a judge, so that's obviously different than in-house. But I took a lot of those skills, like my writing and just like analysis skills, and thought about how I could apply them to sort of like the in-house role, because a lot of those skills are really similar. So similar to Kinsey, just meeting up with people in my network that were willing to chat, and yeah, just seeing how I might be a good fit.
honestly, I have nothing to add, but it's, I think all three, there are great answers. And basically I did a mock interview and also like talking to relevant people. But one thing I might add, it's very particular to me, that motivates me a lot in decision. Before I applied for HubSpot, I know I really want to work in tech. And so, because I think it's in general, I think most of us are in law school. A lot of questions we ask is like, to understand our profession better. Like we are a service industry, so really depends on what kind of clients we want to serve. Do we want to serve banks? Do we want to serve healthcare? Do we want to serve individuals? Or do we want to serve tech? I think personally, I really like the culture itself because it's very, as Lisa said, it's very autonomous. And if you like, you can grow a lot three-dimensionally. It's not just the legal skill, but also the business insight and technical insight. And honestly, it depends on are you fit in tech, because I think more of my serious friends really love like working with a big banks company and or like healthcare. So basically, you need to ask those hard questions on yourself. I think those drive will go longer than saying, I just want to get an internship experience, because at the end of the day, post-graduation, you will build a narrative about what HubSpot leads to. So I think just answer this question right now or earlier, it's always a good indication for you, like what do you want to do? So this is the thing this is not really advice, it's more like it helps if you think about it.
Thank you. I want to summarize up the things that were said just for anybody watching that I thought were great. You know, connecting with people that work directly on the legal team or work in a legal space, you know, asking those questions. What do the day-to-day assignments look like? You know, thinking about your skills that you have and making sure that you're highlighting them even on your resume. As a recruiter, you know, I'm looking at your resume and like Kenzie said, you may not have a whole bunch of legal experience, but you may have other experience that you can really hit on that is relevant for this type of work. So making sure that you're tailoring your resume also is really important. And then research, you know, researching the company, researching our blog, our culture code, you know, talking to as many people as possible, not even just in the legal team. Of course, that's a great place. You want to definitely start there, but also speaking to other teams that may work with legal as well. And just to get a feel. One great thing about HubSpot, we're really big on networking, you know, building relationships here and also retention. You see some people, they may have started, for example, Kenzie as a law clerk and she's in another role. So there's a lot of growth that can happen, especially in tech space. I'm biased, you know, I hate to say it, but I am a little biased with the tech world, but there is a lot of flexibility, a lot of autonomy when you work in this space. But if that is not the best field for you, it's going to be so important to figure out what industry is going to be best for you as well. So great suggestions and tips from the panel. Now, my next question is for the current legal interns. I would love to hear what you enjoy the most about working as a legal intern here at HubSpot.
Okay, what I love the most, man, we touched on a lot of stuff. The autonomy jumps out at me, but I think that's just because Harang had just mentioned that. I would say something I love about just maybe tech in general is its fast-paced culture, and like something that I don't know, as a 1L, you know, we're learning things, right? Con law especially, but like criminal law too. And it's like, why do we do things like that? Oh, because that's how we've been doing them. And I hated that answer. And it wasn't until the end of my 1L year, right? You learn all those core topics. And I'm like, man, this is really what like the legal profession, that's what they're really like, you know, everything's based on precedent. And I was like, my mind does not work that way. I like to see a problem and solve it. And then after I solve it, okay, how can I solve that problem again better? Or how can I just do things quicker, more efficient? You know, things like that. I love adapting and challenging myself. And I think at HubSpot, that has really, really been engaged, like my passion for that. You know, there are a bunch of times where I've done an assignment and my manager, right, Sarah's here, so I'll give her a shout out. she'll say, okay, so this was great. Here are some ways that you can do it better. And even myself, I'll let her know, hey, here's my assignment. Next time, I think I want to try this. And she allows me to do that, right? Like that space, that freedom and that trust in me. How can I produce my best work product? So I really love, I guess, all of that, the trust, the autonomy, the adaptability, yeah, all of those wonderful, wonderful things. And then, sorry, there's a lot. I love the culture. I will say I love the culture. So I started as an intern last summer. So, during COVID, and like I said, I'm in California, so it's completely 100% remote, and not a day has gone by where I felt disadvantaged because of that. I've had other internships that were remote. There was one that was full remote, and I didn't talk to anyone, and I didn't feel like I was a part of the organization. And I knew, okay, that's not for me. And at HubSpot, I've connected with so many different people from different teams, but even just on a day-to-day basis with my primary team, I have felt super, super connected and, and not forgotten over the long winter break. And I'm back again for spring, and they remembered me. So yeah, I think maybe I'll end on culture. I think is my number one favorite.
Love that. I want to give Anna a chance also to speak to her experience.
Sure. I think that one of the things I loved most is just the connections and the friendships that I've made with, I was super close with my intern class. They've all left now, but even the people I work with on a daily basis, and you're assigned mentors that really you can just bounce questions off of, and it doesn't have to be about your day-to-day work, just career advice, anything like that. If I was interested in employment stuff, so even though I was helping the commercial team, I still picked up a project or got to shadow meetings on the employment team, just to really figure out, they were really supportive in me figuring out what I wanted to do in my career, not just for this one internship, but which field, because we do have several practice areas. So it just was really great to get that exposure to figure out what I want to do. And then also, I was never afraid to ask questions. No one made me feel like you should definitely know the answer to this or anything like that, because obviously you don't have a ton of experience when you start as an intern. So I felt that everyone was super supportive in that way.
And I want to add to that. Thank you, Anna, for sharing that. That is a big thing that the team is looking for, is someone that is going to ask questions, because they're not expecting somebody to know everything. How could you? You're coming into a new space. So definitely keep that in mind. Also, somebody, has strong attention to detail, strong writing and things like that, but definitely asking questions is something that we definitely look for here. Harang, I wanted to give you a chance. If there was anything that you wanted to add, feel free.
Thank you, Lisa. I think besides those culture and growth aspect, I think I want to touch the business aspect, which I think is very excited about. HubSpot, if you look at its market capitalization, the time I was there was $25 billion. Now it's $21 billion. There's some strategic growth and based on the corporate development team. But I think this is a very exciting number. So whether this is the end, this is you want to work here forever, or if you want to jump to another associate, if you raise this number, this is a very impressive number. And it had the NASDAQ showed our shareholders had earned 939% of our HubSpot. The shareholder has earned 939% of the investments. This is a very impressive number. So I remember a lot of my friends in venture capital or in investment banking, they were like, why we did not purchase HubSpot stock, that we should purchase it since the moment you work here. So I just, in the business world, it's a very exciting number. It means, basically it means a lot of investing, a lot of money of putting in it, meaning there's a lot of growth, which explain why our legal team has basically double size or maybe triple size in the future. So this is And also it means grow the size, meaning the more teams you work with. So basically it has give you the vibe of both working with a startup as well as a corporation. HubSpot to some extent it's a startup to me because it grows as a startup. It has come from Series A to Series E. Now it has a full-grown IPO company. So, but it has never lost that community of autonomy. Like we always ask stupid questions on Slack channel. I remember I had a serious discussion with a senior engineer on the Twitter data breach in 2020. So this is the place where we can bounce up ideas. But HubSpot also give you the vibe of working with a big corporation. Like it's like working in the Facebook itself because it has all availabilities and resources for you to grow. I remember I learned so much from the leadership skill panel, and I took there's some legal launch series. I remember like monthly legal launch, right? So that's where I learned all the employment team, what our product team is doing. So that's what I really value about as a business, because maybe in the future you want to work for a startup. Maybe in the future you want to work for Facebook as Google or HP, their own legal counsel. But HubSpot will prepare you for both. But staying at HubSpot will give you all the great resources as well. So I'm just saying, maybe as a 1 hour, 2 hour, I think my concern at that time was like, what kind of internship will open the door for me as much as possible? I think HubSpot is the answer.
Love that. Thank you so much. I have one final question for each of my panelists. What advice would you give to all the people that are attending, you know, that have interest in applying to be a legal intern? What advice would you give them on working here or just in general as they're going through the process? We'll start with Kenzie, if that's okay.
Yeah, I feel like I already kind of touched on this, so I'm probably repeating myself, but honestly, like just reaching out, like don't be afraid to reach out to anyone on the legal team. You can reach out to me. I'm putting myself out there, so I'll definitely respond. But like if you're worried about reaching out to someone, like some strategies you can use is like reaching out to someone who went to the same law school or undergrad as you. Like that's a way you can like connect with someone, or even anyone that like has a similar interest to you, like whatever you can think of that you feel like can help build a bridge, like you should totally use it. But yeah, like you should definitely reach out to people and ask, you know, questions, get insight, and use that to your advantage.
I can add to that. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me as well. Happy to chat. I also think this speaks a little bit, maybe once you have your foot in the door somewhere too, is I feel like how I went from intern to cleric to full-time position is I just pretty much said yes to every like project or opportunity that they asked me to help with, and I ended up getting to connect with a ton of different people across the team, and I feel like building those relationships helped just as much as like performing like your daily tasks well. So yeah.
I'll add, so Anna actually was my mentor. She had mentioned that earlier. So she had given me that advice, say yes. And I think that was super helpful. But if you're looking to apply and maybe to add to, you know, doing research, understanding the culture code, you know, knowing heart, right, the humble, empathetic, etc. I would also just have confidence. It's hard, right? Like as someone, I'm graduating this summer, so like, you know, as someone who's about to enter that and like deal with that all over again, just have confidence, believe in yourself, and try to just, you know, promote yourself as best as possible and really, you know, work on that resume, work on those networking skills, and, you know, try to put your best foot forward. And I think that people will see that and people will recognize that. And Alyssa had mentioned LinkedIn. I didn't use LinkedIn, but I found HubSpot via LinkedIn and I applied actually via LinkedIn. So huge boost there for LinkedIn. and yeah, I think that it's a great resource to just look up alumni, like Kinsey said, look up people who work there currently. And yeah, so yeah, believe in yourself and research.
Again, I have nothing to add, to be honest. It's basically what I did. But one thing I think that works for me. It sounds very cliche, but I would say try your best, because a lot of times when I make decisions, I think I spend more energy thinking about whether I want it. Now, looking back, I should have spent all the energy on trying best to get it, because now looking back, this is the most valuable and golden internship opportunity I've ever get. And those gold opportunities are really worth the efforts. And it's not just like researching, as they said, but also to me is every day I will listen to Wall Street Journal, or I will look at the tech news and understand what's happening in this industry. Because as a value add-on, I guess it's not just for HubSpot, it's for everyone. Show your interest in this industry. Show like you care about it. Show you have drive and curiosity. I think as long as you have the drive, no matter you do mock interview, do research in this company, it will get you far. The most important thing for me is to have the drive. Yeah.
I'll just add on that really quickly. Yeah, I think that's so important, showing your passion. You know, for me, I knew exactly I want to be in-house and I want to do privacy work. I'll take other work, you know, if it means I get to be in-house, but, you know, I knew exactly what I wanted, and I showed that. I showed that from on my resume, my cover letter, of course, but also in the classes that I picked. In my second interview, I remember Danielle, she asked me a question, you know, what is this role of in-house counsel class you're taking? And she asked me about it. And I, you know, that was a great conversation starter and maybe memorable, right? But there were other things that I did to show that this is my passion, tech, privacy, in-house. And I think that stood out.
I love each and every one of your responses. I'm thinking a lot about the drive and, you know, not giving up and doing your research. I agree. That really goes a long way when you show that, you know, you really took the time to invest in learning about the company. That will really make you stand out, or being creative even in your interview if there is a way. You know, having creative responses also too. I think recruiters and hiring managers really enjoy that as well. So I just want to, before we're not done just yet, but I want to say personally, thank you to my panel. You all have been amazing so far. What we're going to do now is we're going to shift into a Q&A session. So we do have a few questions in the chat. If you have not put your questions in the chat, feel free to do so while we're continuing the conversation. But I'm going to go ahead and start. So, oh wait, Jill, did you want to do that? I don't know.
I can go ahead and get us started with the questions.
Yeah.
And just keep an eye out on the chat. But definitely keep putting in your questions, because I know that we'll have a lot of great responses from our panelists. So first question from Abraham: what are the main skills you all believe you developed while working as a legal intern for HubSpot? So anyone on the panel want to take a stab at that one?
I can go ahead. Oh God, Kissy, please go ahead.
Go ahead.
I both like unmuted and then stared at each other. I can go first. So I think if you're interested in like tech transactions, it's like, I think it's very interdisciplinary area. So something that I really learned and developed at HubSpot is definitely like my security knowledge, on top of like the legal skills and legal knowledge that you develop, as well as like my technical knowledge. So knowing what an API is and permissions and, you know, all these things that I would not have known. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm a programmer and I should be building a product, but I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, you definitely like really get good at like security terminology and like any technical like language and all that. So that's pretty cool.
I think the main or the number one thing I learned at HubSpot was how to take my legal brain and shift it to like a business perspective. In law school, we're, again, like rigid and strict, and we're taught like, how to write and read and do and speak even certain ways in a very like litigation, manner. And coming to HubSpot, I'll never forget my first research project. It was just like a long memo almost. And Zara was like, okay, that's great, but kind of like, how does this apply to us, right? How does this apply now to HubSpot? And that was something that like, I wouldn't have learned that in law school at all. So I've really learned how to apply my legal skills and my legal knowledge to support the business. And I'm grateful for that. So I don't turn in, long memos anymore.
I can build off what I was going to say something similar to Caitlin, but I learned a lot about, you'll hear a lot, at least on my team, about like the HubSpot voice and talking in just like a kind and empathetic way, like especially when you're mostly communicating through emails and Slacks, and assuming the best intention of everyone when you're getting those communications. But then also like every day I work also with like business stakeholders. So we sort of have to translate the legal terms from the contracts into just like plain English of like what that means for the business and what that means for their team, and just learning how to like just type and like communicate really concisely and just not in like an intimidating way. I think that was like one of the best skills that I learned, and I still use it like every single day. So
I think what I learned most, I think it's also comes handy in my current job, is prioritization skills. You will get assignment from Slack, from multiple emails. If you're curious and you want to take more subjects or assignments, then you will get 10 assignments a day. And now it's your job to communicate, okay, I got 4 hours today. Can I do it tomorrow? Can I do it next week? A lot of times, at least for me, it's hard to say no because you want to learn and you don't want to disappoint people. But in the long run, build up enough time for yourself to finish your task and do quality work while having enough rest is a very important skill in the long-term career. So I think, and also the best part about HubSpot is people are very understandable of your schedule and understand you need to rest in order to be a better worker tomorrow. So I think this is really environment. This is the environment that encourages you for you to have a good working habit and life habit.
Could not agree more. Thank you so much, ladies. I did throw in the chat for everybody just a summary of some of the skills, just in case you wanted to look through that. But thank you all so much for that. The next question is from Samuel. I'll do this one, Jill. It says, which aspects of your background have been most helpful in your position at HubSpot? It's a great question.
I can go. I think that having for my role personally, Danielle always says to me, like, you really need to understand how the business works before you can ever like advise on any of the legal topics, because it just affects the business so much and the business stakeholders. So I think having like a basic, well, my degree was in finance and legal studies, but just like a basic understanding of how corporations work and like what different departments there are. It doesn't need to be like super in depth, but at least understanding not only like specifically what HubSpot does, but just how all the different, like how finance might work with legal, how like the engineers work with legal, just all the different departments. I think that was really helpful background for me, because going into in-house, because they always tell you, at least for me, that it's hard to go in-house, especially right from law school. Even a lot of my teammates started at law firms for several years, and I took a different path and went straight in-house. But I think that just having like an understanding of the business and how corporations work was super helpful.
I'll add, so prior to law school, I worked for 4 years at a tech company. It was healthcare mostly, and my main job was kind of managing like website content. So while I didn't know what a CRM was, I did know what a SaaS product was, because that's what we had done. So I think some of like that tech lingo for sure, and then also just kind of understanding like the tech culture, like we love abbreviations. And so I had already experienced that at my prior work. So when I came to HubSpot and was thrown a bunch of abbreviations, I wasn't scared because I had seen it before. So yeah, things like that. And then also just not being scared of like the tech lingo, like CRM, SaaS, things like that. Like you start to learn it, and you learn it before or you'll learn it on the job. And yeah.
So for me, I did an externship in Ireland, in-house at a tech company. So that was a lot of exposure to like European data protection regulations while in Europe. So that was really helpful. And then I also did a summer internship at DocuSign doing some privacy work as well. So that was all pretty helpful. But I think what helped me jump to my first in-house internship was definitely like taking a class, like something as simple as like taking a class at the law school that it was called like mobile application development, and it was like a legal class, and that kind of showed my interest, and then I just kind of like jumped from one in-house role to another.
Thank you, Kinsey. I think I'm the least qualified intern here because I don't really have any useful aspects prior I joined HubSpot. But that's okay because I showed Daniel I'm curious learner, and that's how great the culture is. They're very receptive of you not having relevant experiences beforehand, but as long as you do the hard work doing work and during the internship or after internship. I think that's the more important thing for me. And also HubSpot opened up the greatest door. HubSpot itself is a very valuable company. So I think don't worry about it too much, Samuel.
Love that. What other questions do we have currently in the chat? Is there anything else in there, Joe?
Yeah, so we got another one from Kira, and it says, hi, I'd love to know more about any mentoring or professional development experiences that were available to you during your internship. I know we mentioned mentoring a little bit, but any other ones, any other examples?
I can speak. So I'm trying to think back to my internship, but definitely the mentoring, not just with your mentor, but like I mentioned, we have like a ton of legal team members that didn't start in-house. They started at law firms. And I also had like, what's it called? Like fellow interns who decided that they wanted to try out the firm after they graduated. So they actually, they leaned on some of our current legal team members to make connections to their past experiences as well. People are like happy to help you network. And also HubSpot just has some great perks. Like there's like a global free books perk where you can get, I think it's interns and everyone can get like one free book a month. And you can really lean into like any professional development books or really any book you want. But that's a good resource if there's certain things that you want to learn more about or expand your knowledge on. You can definitely take part in benefits like that, which HubSpot offers.
Anyone like to add to that? I'm just going to say, honestly, also another thing you can do while you're here is try to see what other Slack channels, because we utilize Slack a lot, are available. We have people that are into all types of things. So that also can be a way to mentor you outside of your day-to-day role too, which you never know, that could help you in a way in your role, by talking to other people about other things. So I love that about the company. And then we have like little sessions where we bring in leaders from different companies. They'll come and then we can join in and listen to them and learn from them too. I really love that about HubSpot as well. And then we have Inbound, which is a big conference that we have each year. That's absolutely amazing. We have leaders come from, again, all types of places, different companies, different industries, and it's very valuable to us as employees as well. So we have a lot of opportunities I would like to add to that too. If that is it, was there anything else in the chat question-wise? I know we're coming up on the last few minutes here.
No other questions that I see in the chat.
Okay, great. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I want to again thank my panel. You all have been so amazing. Anna, Kinsey, Haran, Caitlin, this has been great. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself. I'm not sure if everyone on the panel is on LinkedIn and active, but be sure if you want to throw in the chat. I'm going to throw in my LinkedIn in the chat as well. If you want to connect, again, our legal intern opportunity is open now. So definitely feel free to apply if you have not already, if you are interested. And again, we just want to thank you all for coming out and attending the Life of a Legal Intern panel today. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone. Hey, Joe, can you stay on for just a moment?
Yep.
Okay, great.
I'm just gonna hit stop recording.